Okay, let's see if we can do it this way. Apologies for that. So, what is self-worth and how is it formed? Okay, so your thoughts, your words, your actions, and then every time you have like similar experiences, then that's how your conditioning is. So, the exciting thing is if that is how it's formed, then you can actually just form new beliefs at any given time. Obviously, it's not that easy. Well, it can be. It can be an easy process. It's basically what your conditioning is. So, yeah, I don't really talk about all the hectic stuff, but I mean, I used to live with a narcissist, and that was my dad for years. And so, just being in that environment, just continuously, verbal abuse. I mean, it's the things that he used to say to me which rings through my head. So it could have had a worse effect. And if I can take you back now, I'm not telling you about my story so that you can feel sorry for me or feel sympathy or whatever emotion. It's more to to show you that you have control with your thoughts and that at any given time you can change your story. Okay, so it really is what you tell yourself. It's not anything different. Okay, so as traumatic as the rape incident was, the more traumatic event, okay, was the day before. So I can't even remember what it was. He wouldn't let me go somewhere, my dad. I ran away from home. My friend was convincing me, like, don't be stupid, like, go back home. And it was a guy, so he was walking me back home because here was I, I don't give a shit where I'm going. I'm 14 years old. I'm like, I'm just going. He's like, no, just be calm, go back. So he was walking me back home. And then my dad pulls up with a car, and he has his gun. So he shows his gun, and he's like, get in the car, to both of us, please, both of you. And so we get in the car, we drive to our driveway where we have visitors, so he didn't want to go in. And then he was normally like verbally abusive, but he was just like extra. So what we didn't know at the time was that he has these bipolar rages, okay? Because that time it was just undiagnosed. We just thought, okay, he's alcoholic, but he wasn't even drinking at the time. And he wasn't like alcoholic, like everyday alcoholic or social alcoholic. It was more like a closet drinker, so no one really knew about it. So everyone saw this like nice side of him, but like we would know the other side, and it was just drinking once a year, then he got to once in 6 months, once in 3 months, once a month, through my schooling thing. And when he would drink, then he would often blame me, like I'm the cause of his drinking. And now I can look back and be like, yeah, whatever, but back then as a child, you don't know any better. Like, this is it. This is the person that brought you into this world, okay? And they're like blaming you because you're such a troublemaker, and that's why they're drinking, And so he wasn't shy to just make it known that he has a gun, and then he was kind of talking to me and my friend, like, and he was sitting in the front, and we were both sitting in the back of the car. And then he just, went off that, you don't know what a bitch she is, and she's such a fucking slut, and this, and I've got a, thing, and she's the cause of my drinking. And then, like, in this, like, rage, he, like, and I hadn't even, like, slept with anyone or anything. Anyway, he reached across and he started, like, strangling me because he just didn't know how to manage his, like, anger. And that moment actually just broke me. This is the person that brought you into the world, and they think that of you. And I also did not know how to process my anger, and what the thoughts that were going through my head was like, I just don't want to live. I don't want to be here anymore. And I wanted to try to commit suicide, but I couldn't because it's painful. And, I tried slowly, but I just couldn't. So I did the next best thing, which was call a friend who I knew had a crush on me. And I just said, like, listen, here's some money. Can you fetch it by the gate? I just need this bottle of alcohol, which I had planned to drink alone. I was just going to do it in my room, whatever, because I'm like, that's what he flippant thinks of me. So that is what I'm going to do, drink away my sorrows, because that's what he does. And I am no better than him. And it was that moment of being, you see, this is the thing, when I go back to that moment, it's that moment of absolute low fear, guilt, shame. That vibration caused or attracted other circumstances to me. And I always go back to that moment. So there was a lot of blame on myself, okay, throughout it, and there was a lot of blame on my dad, but I actually did not blame the rapist in a weird way. Yes, I know, it's overstepping boundaries, but I'm like, I invited them in my life. It was, I think, 60% on me, 30% on my dad, and like 10% on them, because it would always go back to the night before I was gang raped. I'm like, I invited this experience. And I had to go, years of like therapy to overcome this. But that was a core belief of unworthiness, of shame, of guilt, all those lower vibration. But my choice of story, okay, and this is from reading Mind Power. So I only read Mind Power when I was about 19, 20 years old. And so for 3 years, I just I didn't have access to anything. I just went like a kind of recluse, very quiet. My grades dropped. No one really noticed. I did go into the second class, so not the A class anymore. And I did have to, my thing was like speak when you're spoken to. And I just like went very like inward, and the things that my dad would say to me, so I didn't tell anyone about the rape. I just just pretended it didn't happen, okay? And I said, I knew I'd have to deal with it at some day, but at that time I was not strong enough, and I just thought, my parents are not going to be able to manage it. I'm going to be the point of discussion in the whole community, and you know how things happen. So I'm like, no, I'm not strong enough to deal with it then, and I know I'm going to have to deal with it someday, so I'm going to just pretend it didn't happen now and deal with it. Bottled emotions another day. And so, the things that he would say is, I don't give a shit about you. You can become a packer at Checkers for all I care. Like when I went into the second class, not the A class anymore. But you know what? I still came out 10th in my standard, and I still got, I think, about 75. But no, I got about 75 or 80%, I don't know. Those things don't even really matter. That schooling education didn't really matter to me. The education that I value is all the learning that I've done since then, all the learning that I gather from books and motivation books, because at school they don't teach you about life. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So, you can't change someone that's like that, who's a narcissist, who plays all these like mind games. And for me, that's why honesty is so important to me. And over the years, when I fell pregnant and left to deal with the situation by myself, had to break the news to my parents. So what he said was like, you can go give birth at free hospital for all I care. So, again, that's something that could have broke me, but I also realized that, and I only found out when I was pregnant halfway through my pregnancy, so 18, 19 weeks. And people can judge me, but for most of my pregnancy, I felt like, I've missed out on like a whole thing. You plan to do all those books and records and everything, and I'm like, shit, I didn't even know, And so when I did know, and I found out on Human Rights Day, which was the 21st of March, like I would do a lot of prayer, and I would walk with my dogs. So I had to still undergo the verbal abuse from my dad on a daily basis. this bad thing that I felt pregnant. And that's actually the reason why I started posting on social media, because I didn't have communication with the outside world. It sounds so crazy, but he was just embarrassed and ashamed, and what are people going to think and say, and how is he going to tell his sisters, and how is he going to tell his family? So yeah, I would have to listen to his crap and his, things every day. But I did not want all of that energy and emotion to get transferred to the baby. So I would just like, no, I'm walking my dogs, and I would go do that. And then, I'm telling you all of this because each time it's about changing your story. And right now, you may have certain stories about yourself, and that's why I gave you all that task to do, which is, what is your story? This is such a powerful, potent exercise, because when you put it down on paper, okay, not just buzzing around in your head, when you put it down on paper and you just write down everything, okay, that comes to mind, it has the power to just be acknowledged, because that's all your emotion. And then when we combine this with the movement, okay, which is the exercise, because through my pregnancy I walked, okay, that is shifting the emotion. And I mean, my kids are testament to it. They are so calm, they are so and it's because of all the yoga, because of all the breathing, because of the mindset work. Even my giving birth, they're both natural births, no pain medication whatsoever. That's why it's very important for me to, I look at my parents, I'm like, I do not want to be like that. I don't want to have aches and pains. Obviously, aches and pains are unavoidable, but as much as I can, what I can control, I will. And I, always said, and what comes to mind is Nelson Mandela, and, being in prison for so long, and yet he had his mind, and they can try to put stuff on you, but all you have is your mind and your thoughts, and you are in control of that. So it is about you taming your thoughts. And we think 70,000 thoughts in a day. Most of those are negative, okay? But like a magnifying glass, focusing on a piece of paper, why not take control of your life? Why not take control? Why not just acknowledge your story so far and decide, I'm going to rewrite the ending? And most people, start off this way. They get excited, they get motivated, they have an envision, they do the vision board, but then, 21 days later, I would say normally from about a month or two, they just drop off. Why? And that's the thing, that's part of what we do in the beginning, is your reason why you're doing this. And I say write down 100, because one reason is not good enough. To look good in your clothes is not a strong enough reason, okay? There are deeper reasons, and I can't give you the answers, but you can do the answers. Okay, so yes, a lot of this work is tough that we do. But do you want to keep on giving away your power to whatever the next quick fix is on the market? Okay, maybe you don't have such a hectic story. Maybe you have a more hectic story. Okay, it does not matter. What matters is that you know that you have the power to change your story, and it's not easy, and you continuously get challenged. But is it worth it? Yes. I mean, right now, yes. I mean, you see the challenges that I face with kids and being goal-oriented and wanting to do stuff. I mean, I myself have to fight off feelings of failure, feelings of not being good enough, feelings that I'm not doing enough. But it's also a very beautiful journey, because more often than not, I'm in such a happy space. And it's because of the power of my mind and my thoughts, and being able to tame those thoughts. I live in a kind of flow. I've designed my ideal life. And yes, there's always going to be obstacles and challenges coming your way. But when things come into your into your being. Ask yourself why. And it's little things like when I would be working and the kids would come running through, I would be so focused, like in accounting, that I would actually, because accounting needs focus, and I would get annoyed at the kids. And sorry, I'm going to have some coffee as well. Yeah, so I would be like, oh, I just need more time. I just need to finish this. And I can remember thinking these thoughts about a year ago, or maybe a little more than a year ago, maybe end of 2018. And just, I can like picture it and just thinking like, no, is this a life? And then now when that happens and I'm working and the kids come through, I ask myself, if I am the observer and I am part of a whole and everything is in me, what part of my higher self, why is it wanting this experience? And it is with so much more wisdom. Now I'm like, oh, okay, it's past 5 o'clock. I'm still working. I'm not meant to be working. This is their time, So it's a whole shift in your reality when you change your thoughts. And so regardless of whether I'm busy with whatever, like my kids come first because that is my priority and my values. It doesn't have to always be like that. At different times, you can choose to have different things. When it comes to working out, okay, when people say, I don't have time, yes, you may not have time because you're prioritizing other things. But what I ask you to reflect and think about is, if you do not even have 30 minutes for yourself in a day, what are you living for? Okay, because that means you're prioritizing everything else in your life, every other person. You're prioritizing working. These people are like I was going to say, like bloodsuckers, okay? Draining the living life out of you. And it can be your kids, it can be your family, it can be people. Like, analyze where your time is going. Because if you cannot take 30 minutes just to, that is your mind time. That is your investment in yourself, okay? And that shifted my thinking when I read the 4-hour work week. I'm not at a space where I'm working 4 hours, but it was a beautiful book with beautiful concepts. And yes, I guess that would be the ideal. That's what got me to shift my thinking in terms of how I structure my day. And how I structure my day is I plan the night before. I write down what my priorities are. And then from morning to 12, I don't answer emails. Okay, this is when I was accounting. Don't answer emails. I don't get back to messages or anything. I do what is my priority. And what is my priority? It's having a workout in the morning. Now it's also creating content. Because I love it and I love being creative and I love adding value. And that's why I'm actually doing this video now, because I'm like, this is important to me. This is me giving back. This is me adding value to people. Okay. And then spending time with kids. So homeschooling, I've got to go see to Vishay and Kuman, and he's got a Zoom call just now. And then my mind power and my meditation, that goes without saying, like first thing in the morning, every day for the last 2-3 years, that is what I've done, mind power. So I have tremendous belief in the power of my mind, because if you look at that tracker system which we have going, which seems like such a simple tool that we use with tools, what you're doing is creating self-belief. Okay, you say you're going to do something, you tick it off, you did it. That's why. Okay, you say it again, you do it again. You say it again, you do it again. For my last 10 days, I have worked out every day non-stop. Do you know, that is the reason for my elated, happy state at the moment, because I said I'm going to do it and I did it. I noticed that I was not doing 2 workouts, and I said, well, actually, yeah, it is a little bit crazy. You got a lot on your plate, so I took it off. There's no need to be doing 2 workouts. If I do 2, yes, it's a bonus, but having 1 workout, I'm happy with that. I'm still getting to my... Hello? So true wisdom and power comes from your point of neutrality. So when you can look back at every single bad thing that has happened to you and you can find the good that has come from it, that is your position of power. When you can look at every good thing in your mind and you see the bad stuff that came from it, that is true power. And that is something that you can dig deeper if you would like to. A book by Dr. Demartini called The Breakthrough Experience that really worked for me. Dr. Phil does the same thing in Self Matters. He calls it pivotal moments. So a lot of the masters, and I've seen the same technique in, I think, about 50 other books. So if you don't have the time to read, there's so many things you can download. There's so many YouTube videos. You know, if you're going through something, reach out, okay? Don't do this alone. I mean, this group is completely free. Yes, it's completely free. Okay, and the reason is it's my adding value and giving back. And I know that, like, the messages that I get when I am working out is that I need to share more about my thought process and what's going on. So right now, the reason that I've stepped up my game, okay, is because my birthdays are important. And what I have rewired my brain to be is like every year gets better and better. And, you know, because you're wiser, there's more blessings, there's more opportunities. So I actually look forward to my birthday and I make like a massive deal. I mean, last year was Bali, and I don't know how I'm going to top that this year. I did have plans of going to Greece, but I don't actually feel like traveling anywhere with whatever's going on. I doubt we're going to be allowed to go anywhere. So I'm actually just happy and at peace and at home and loving it, actually. I wish the lockdown would just continue. It's a nice excuse just to be able to control your environment, like no one's just popping over, clients not coming here. It's honestly like such a beautiful time. So back to the birthday, okay, I realized that from yesterday is 40 days to my birthday. And so every day, my flow is doing the things that I'm happy about, an hour meditation, an hour exercising, time with the kids, creating content, adding value. And that's my ideal life. Like whether I'm traveling or over here, that is me. My first draft of my book is ready. I'm just giving it a bit of a break before I look at it again and, you know, do the second draft and third draft and whatever. But just completely loving life and pushing myself with regards to what's capable with my own body. When I was training, like in this last week, there was a moment, because there's like a mirror in front of me, we moved the stuff into the lounge. And there was a moment like I looked into my own eyes and I had the same feeling that I did 7 years ago when I was training for my first transformation, when I was like training to go up on stage. It's that same determination. And it was just such an amazing moment where I looked in my eyes and I'm like, well, hello there. You know, I know this person. I know this determined person who's willing to do everything. So I actually just made a promise that I'm not going to be jumping on the scale, because I normally do jump on the scale quite a bit. I don't even know what I am. I just said I'm going to fall totally in love with my workouts, totally in love with my food. And, you know, have you ever watched a 2-year-old or 4-year-old? They have this childlike wonder. That is how you should go about your day. And completely lose yourself in every moment, because being present at every moment is when you transcend this kind of matrix that we're in. And just being able to see negative and positive through everything, because all we have is this present moment. And you know, you hear it from all these like gurus, but when you actually live it and when you actually feel it, and every sip of water or coffee or whatever that you take, just be thankful, be grateful. Watch how do it for even just 24 hours. Every time you see a bill, just be thankful that you have the money to pay this bill. Think about whatever has given you, whatever product, whatever that you bought, or think about if you're paying for school fees or, whatever. But think about what it's given you, the value, and feel the feelings of just happiness and gratitude, because that high vibration is going to keep you in a neutral position. And the reason I say neutral is because, again, we are thinking so many negative thoughts. And so with the self-love, with the self-appreciation, yes, there may be things that you replay again and again in your mind, okay? But you can stop that tape recorder, okay? You can put another, I was going to say cassette, that is so old school. You can put another mind movie on, okay? And if you want to know more about the mind movies, then just pop me a message and I'm happy to talk and walk you through that. Perhaps maybe that will be the next thing that we do. But that's when you really start taking control and shifting there. For now, do an analysis of where you are right now in your story, because if you know what is coming up, then you know what affirmations to put when you're working out, and then you know what meditations to listen to and to do, and just listen to your higher self about what you need, because you actually have everything that you need. So have a beautiful day, and we'll chat soon.